Good morning, dear students. Today, I am so excited to teach you all for a new lessons that we're going to talk about this morning. Before we're going to proceed, may I kindly ask everyone to please stand for our prayer. May I call on Gino Kitay to lead us in our prayer. Are you ready to pray? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, thank you, Gino. Once again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another day of learning and growth. I hope you are doing well and ready to and excited for today's discussion. How's everyone doing? All right, it is great to hear that all of you are doing well today. Now, class, please remain standing for our energizer, ready to stretch your body, and let's awaken your sleeping spirit. Are you ready? Okay. Now, once again, thank you, learners. You may take your seat. Now, I am asking Gina Palalon, the classroom secretary, to please list the name of those who are absent today. Okay? Alternatively, please ensure that you sign the attendance sheet. Okay? Now, in order for us to have a fun discussion and a lot of learning today, we will have the classroom rules. Will you please read this word? All right, it is not douchier, it is douchier. Okay, douchier, we have some meaning of douchier. D is for discipline, stay respect, and follow instruction. Understand? Now, O is for organization, keep materials neat and submit work on time. And S is for silent, remain quiet during discussion. And then S is for support, help and encourage your classmates. Okay? Now, I is for integrity, be honest in all tasks. E is for engagement, participate actively. And R, last but not the least, raise your right hand if you want to answer our question for today. Okay? All right. Here's our objective for today's lesson. Cognitive, we have applied the spiral curriculum that suits learner linguistic, cultural, and socio-economic and religious background. And then psychomotor, show how the spiral curriculum works in application of the principles of teaching and learning. And finally, internalize the development of children and youth for various stages. Okay? Do you understand, class? All right. Now, before we're going to start the proper discussion, let's have a small activity. Are you ready? Okay, this activity is called the Pantomime Challenge. Okay, now in this game, the class is divided into two groups. You're going to divide it into two groups. Okay, and in three rounds, each group sends a representative to silent act out of the word or phrases drawn from the box. Okay, we have a box right here, and then we're going to draw it, and without a word, without using a sounds or talking, the teams have 20 seconds to guess the word. If guessed correctly, the team earns 1 point. If not, they have no earned points. Okay? After 3 rounds, the team with the highest and the most points win. Okay, you are going to act the words that you are going to draw from the box. All right? Are you ready? Now, thank you, class, for your participation. Okay, we have some words that being drawn from the box. We have scaffolding, can you recall? Writing, very good. And we have also teaching and many more. Now, in our proper discussion, we're going to talk about the Brunner's theory. Okay, and what is Brunner's theory? First of all, we have Brunner's main concept. Number one, we have inactive presentation or representation. Number two is the iconic representation. Number three is we have symbolic representation. Okay, that is part of the Brunner's main concept. Number one, we have inactive representation. Now, what is inactive representation? Inactive representation means that it is the mode of learning that involves encoding knowledge through physical action or direct manipulation. At the early stage, children learn about the world through action or physical object and outcomes of this action. Okay? Let me reiterate that one. At the early stage, children learn about the world through action, meaning they are ready to learn through action. They are involving the action in order for them to learn. That is inactive representation. Okay? An example to that is that a role play in historic events like the battle or stimulating the trading process in ancient civilization. We all know that in our history. So by enacting those, as for example, the role play about the historical event, the learners is able to process that information through action, to action or physical object that they have seen, the outcome of those action that they have learned through role playing. Okay, now as I have stated a while ago, think about how might role play a historical event like battle or somehow they stimulate an ancient trading process by physical acting of those events. We engage in the materials in a way that helps us experience it more deeply. Okay? Now, learning through hands-on activities or action-based experience is what inactive representation all about. Okay? You're going to act it. If the learners will going to act the situation, it will going to help them the process of learning. Okay? Now, I want you to hear your thoughts about this one. Okay? Here's my question. How do you think acting out historical events like battle or ancient trade can help you understand it better than just reading about it? Okay, please raise your right hand. All right, very good. So again, in active representation, first, it is a learning through action or physical touching. Okay, that is an active representation. Now, next we have iconic representation. This involves using images, diagrams, or visual representation to understand concept. Okay, in active representation, they use action in order for the learners to learn. But in iconic representation, from the word icon, it uses images or somehow diagrams or visual representation to understand the concept. Okay, now in this stage, learners begin to using mental images to understand for real objects or events instead of just acting. Okay, from inactive representation, instead of acting out, we also represent themselves by visually. through visual, okay, in order for them to grasp the information. Now, example is that when we study about the historical event like Roman empires or the Roman Empire's territorial expansion, by looking at the historical map, help us visualize that the boundaries and movement of the empire. Okay? Through visual, we can easily detect, we can easily learn, okay, the expansion of Roman Empire into by looking at somehow in the historical map. Okay? That is one of the example in helping us digest those learning. Now, similarly, when we analyze the mother of all Philippine maps, okay, by Pedro Morolio Villarde, we gain insight into the geographical and historical context of Philippines during Spanish colonial period. Okay, so how would you integrate it to the learning processes? It's simply by using those maps, by using those or somehow a diagram, helps the learner to visualize or learn something out of what they have seen. Okay, now here's the key features of this iconic representation: learning through images and visual representation. Okay? Learning through images and visual representation. Now, here's my question for you. If you are studying the Roman Empire's growth, or somehow the Philippine colonization during the Spanish period, how would you looking at the map helps you visualize its expansion? And why do you think images can make history easier to understand? Okay? All right. Please raise your right hand if you want to answer. All right. Very good. Very good. It helps you to understand by visualizing or through seeing those maps. It helps you to understand more better. All right. Thank you. Now, the third one is symbolic representation. Okay? Lastly, we have the symbolic representation. This is when we use abstract symbols like words, numbers, or written languages to represent knowledge. Okay? To represent knowledge. Now, at this stage, we start thinking in abstract terms and using symbols to encode information to our learners or to the learners. Let's say we look at the population growth in social studies. Okay, let's do this example. Okay, we can use the equation like P T is equals to P O E or RT. Okay, now this formulation help the or the symbolic representation helps the learner, to digest those information by allowing them to analyze some numbers or equation. So, from inactive representation to iconic representation, now we have much more greater by using the symbolic representation. Okay? Now, in using those demographic changes over time, like what I have said in the population growth in social science, like for example, by plugging the numbers, we can model how population growth and predict future changes. So somehow, symbolic representation is more into in-depth learning for the students. Okay, we use a lot of numbers as abstract thinking, and also with integration of critical thinking. Now, symbolic representation is learning through abstract symbols like numbers and written languages. Okay? Now, here's some question for you guys. Okay, students. I want you to think about this one. In what ways do equations like population growth formulation help us understand the real world problems, and how does using numbers and symbols give us clear picture of history or society? Okay? So, anybody? Students? All right, very good. You know, the numbers help us to understand more, or give us the clear picture in history, or somehow, if you're going to study the population growth, it helps us to understand it more better. So, in this Brunner's main concept, we have the iconic representation, we have the inactive representation, and third, we have symbolic representation. In inactive representation, we use the our body, our action to demonstrate the knowledge to our learners. Okay? And then number two, we have the iconic representation. We use visual, we use images to represent knowledge to our learners. Okay, in order for them to see and grasp those learning by visualizing or through visual. And last but not the least, we have symbolic representation, and it uses abstract symbols like numbers or written languages. They help them to analyze those symbols or the numbers or the written languages or the linguistic itself, that help the students or the learners in able to abstract those information. Okay, so those are the Brunner's main concept. Do you understand? Okay, is there any question with regards to Brunner's main concept? All right. Okay, thank you, students. Now, to sum it up, Brunner's three modes of representation, we have inactive, iconic, and symbolic, each play a crucial role in how we learn. Okay? Inactive learning engages us physical. Iconic learning uses visual to help us understand. And while symbolic learning helps us to think in abstract terms, which is essentially for higher levels or higher level thinking and problem solving. Understanding these stages help us tailor our learning to be more effective and meaningful in different stages. Okay? Keep this concept in mind as we continue our study, in the Brunner's theory. Okay? Thank you very much. Now let's move on to the second phase of this lesson. Number two, we have spiral curriculum. Okay? Does anybody spiral curriculum sounds familiar to you? Okay? All right. Now, spiral curriculum, it is important approach. Okay? Let's start with the important teaching approach. Okay? This is called the spiral curriculum. Okay? Now, this method involves revising key concept, okay, multiple times through a student's education. Each time a concept is revisited, it is explored at the higher level of complexity. Okay? If I were going to, integrate this on the main concept of Brunner's theory, we have the inactive, we have the iconic, and lastly we have the symbolic. Inactive, we use body, we use object, we use our hands in order for them to learn, while in iconic we use our eyes, the visual, in order for the learners to learn. And then lastly, it will going to enable them to think. Okay? The same also with spiral curriculum. Each time that you will going to visit those concept, or let's say subject, it is explored it is explored to the higher level of complexity. Okay? From level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay? Okay? Helping the students to build on what they have learned already. Know and deepen or deeper understanding over time. This ensures that learning is cumulative. Okay? Cumulative, students. Meaning, each new piece of information adds on what was learned before. Okay? So, the learning process is from level 1, level 2, level 3. In other words, don't start with the higher level of learning. Instead, start with the basic one. Okay, let's say you're going to teach them how to what is the life of Rizal. Use the very basic. Rizal is our national hero. And then when you go back to again to that lesson, you will integrate the new lesson by advancing into level 2. Okay? So after the students will enable them to know that uh, Jose Rizal is our national hero, then you will going to at the level 2 you will going to discuss why is it become why is it the reason why Rizal became a national hero. Okay, and then you will going to in the third level you will going to discuss or discuss his writing, the Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. All right, now this is my question for you. Is the spiral curriculum primarily designed for students or for teachers? Okay? All right. Yes, that is correct. Okay? It is also in follow up with that, is the spiral curriculum designed more for benefits of the students or for the teachers? Think about that for a moment. Who is ultimately responsible for ensuring that the knowledge is reinforced and built upon throughout education journey? Okay? Now let us move to Principle of Instruction by Brunner. Okay? Jerome Brunner is a key figure in educational theory, highlighted some of the principles of instructions that align with the spiral curriculum. Let's go through them. Okay, number 1, we have readiness. Readiness is the instruction should be tailored to the student's ability and willing to learn. This means considering their development stages and prior experience. Number 2, we have spiral organization. The curriculum must be structured in a way that the concept are introduced in manageable steps, gradually increasing its complexity. Okay, we also talked about this one earlier. And number 3, we have going beyond the information given. Okay, teaching should be encourage critical thinking, where students are not just receiving information, but also being discussed to the teacher. The teacher will going to lead their students to not just spoon feeding, but also beyond of those giving information or receiving information, but it actively thinking, making interference and lifting in the gaps in their understanding or filling the gaps in their understanding. Okay, that is one of the reason why we're going to fill it out, the missing piece of those students learning in order for them to gain more understanding. So going beyond information is given. So the principles of instruction of Brunner's is number 1, we have the readiness. Readiness is the instruction should be tailored. Number 2, we have the spiral organization. Spiral organization meaning you're going to gradually increase the complexity of information from level 1, level 2, level 3, and so on and so forth. And number 3, we have going beyond the information given, meaning that not just giving the information to the students, or not just receiving the information to the student, but they were going to actively thinking, engaging in critical thinking, making interference, and filling the gaps in their understanding. Now, here's the important question for you. How can the spiral curriculum method in social studies help students develop a deeper understanding of global issues, and why is it important to revisit topics with increasing complexity as the student processes through grade levels? Okay? How is it important? Please raise your right hand. Yes, exactly. By revisiting topics like global issues, we can build a deeper understanding over time. The complexity increases as the student progress, allowing them to analyze and evaluate these issues with greater insight as they grow intellectually. Okay? Any questions? Any clarification with those informations, those topics that will being discussed? If none, then we will going to proceed to our next discussion. Now we're going to proceed to our activities for today's discussion. In this, you're going to have a 7-minute video project applying Brunner's theory in teaching history. Okay, basically, this video project where you will demonstrate Jerome's Brunner's modes of learning. Okay, the representation. We have the inactive, iconic, and symbolic by teaching the historical topic. Okay, for this activity, you will focus on the life and contribution of Jose Rizal, showing how each mode of representation enhance learning. Okay, what you will going to do is number 1, introducing the historical topic. Okay, you're going to introduce the historical topic by demonstrating the inactive representation, iconic representation, and symbolic representation. And number 2, you're going to demonstrate it on the 3 modes of representation. Okay, meaning that we're going to see those category in your video. I will going to see the inactive representation. How we're going to integrate inactive representation of the Rizal's life and contribution. And then the iconic one. So we're going to show visual. Okay? And number 2, symbolic representation. The more deeper understanding on Jose Rizal's life and contribution. Okay? Now I'm going to show you the category or the criteria for that project, or for this project video. Okay, I will going to show you on your screen. Now, in finding practical application of concept and skills in daily living, number 1, I have a question for you for critical thinking. How can understanding historical events like Jose Rizal advocate for perform inspired meaningful action in addressing current societal challenges? How would you integrate Brunner's theory, like for example, the main concept of Brunner's theory, the inactive, the iconic, the symbolic, into your daily lives? Okay? First, you will going to apply it in your lives, like you're going to apply the skills on touching, and the skills of seeing, and then understanding by applying what you have touched, what you have see, and then apply it in your critical thinking. Okay, that is how the importance of Brunner's theory in integrating on your understanding. Making generalization and abstraction of lesson, how can the concept of revisiting ideas in spiral curriculum help you to improve your study habits over time? Okay? Like for example, a student has difficulty understanding how ancient civilization used barter trade to meet their needs. Or perhaps a student struggles to comprehend the territorial expansion of the Roman Empire. Or a student finds hard to grasp the concept of democracy in ancient Greek. So how would you integrate a spiral curriculum from those problems? Okay? Do you have any clarification or question with regards to our lesson for today? If none, then please get 1/4 sheet of paper because we will going to have a short quiz. Okay? I will going to show you the question in your screen and make it sure to answer it correctly. All right? Here we go. All right, that's it for our discussion for today. And next meeting, please, as your assignment, please study the next lesson for next week's discussion. Okay? Have a great day. Bye.